We were doing Surah Al-Baqarah, and we have done first 44 verses of the Surah. Yeah. So we started from verse 40 and did up to verse 44 in our last session. In order to, in order to, be aware of the context of what we had read before, I'll just read out the translation of the last verses and then continue with reading and a bit of explaining of the subsequent verses. It starts from verse 40. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا بني إسرائيل اذكروا نعمتي التي أنعمت عليكم. Children of Israel, recall my blessings I showered upon you and fulfill my promise. I will fulfill your promise and fear me alone. Then the next verse says, and believe in what I have revealed, confirming what is there with you, and don't be the very first disbelievers of it, and do not compromise on my verses for petty considerations, and fear me alone. Verse 42 says, and do not mix truth with untruth, nor conceal the truth knowingly. Verse 43 says, and say your prayers regularly, and pay zakat, and bow down along with these people who are bowing down. And the 44th verse says, do you urge people to do good and forget your own selves, even when you read the book? Don't you realize? So these were the verses we had done before. And now, verse number 45 of Surah Al-Baqarah. And by the way, all these verses are addressing the children of Israel, the Jews who were present at the time of the revelation of the Quran. وَاسْتَعِينُوا بِالصَّبْرِ وَالصَّلَاةِ, and seek help through patience and prayers. The Almighty is advising the children of Israel. Look here, you are in a difficult situation. You are being challenged. It's a test for you. In order for you to be able to overcome this difficulty or go through the test properly, successfully, seek help through patience and prayer. Now, as far as patience is concerned, as sabr, it's actually perseverance. You go through difficulties, you have challenges in life, but you continue to do the good things that you are doing. You don't give up. You don't compromise on your principles. So, uh, probably a more appropriate translation of sabr is perseverance. And in one verse of Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 177, the Almighty is mentioned three different situations where perseverance is tested. So he says, uh, perseverance in economic difficulties, physical ailments, and at the time of battle. So, when he was actually challenged, he expects that you do sabr, be patient, remain steadfast, don't give up, don't start shouting, screaming, don't become angry, don't start putting blame on others, and so on. Control yourself. Was salat, and seek help from perseverance, patience, and salat, prayer. Salat, prayer, formal prayer, enables sabr. Why? That you enables you to get it because when you realize the greatness of the Almighty and you are humbly bowing down before Him, you get a feeling that you are in contact with Him, you're communicating with Him. You get that satisfaction, contentment, which can come to you only when you understand the Almighty's scheme. You realize that at the end of the day, it's all just the same. These are all different manifestations of tests. So let's not make a big deal out of it. How would you get it? Praying to the Almighty. when you will stand before him, bow down before him, prostrate before him, you know, understand what you're saying. Something I've already mentioned, and I'll keep mentioning. One part of the prayer is what is absolutely essential and obligatory, and that part of the prayer has to be always recited in Arabic. Al-Fatiha, followed by Quran, saying Allahu Akbar, saying Sami Allahu liman hamida rabbana lakal hamd, and saying Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. The rest is yours. Talk to your God, your creator. I mean, you've got an opportunity to communicate with him 5 times a day. Imagine you are talking to him and you're saying, Oh Allah, oh God, I have difficulty. Please help me. And he's going to give you strength. So this is what the Almighty is suggesting to uh, the children of Israel, that this test that you have been required to go through, in that you were the leaders of, religious leaders of your community. And in came a prophet, probably against your expectations from the children of Ismail. And now you are wondering what to do. It's a challenge. Seek help from perseverance, patience, and salat prayer. وَإِنَّهَا لَكَبِيرَةٌ. And indeed, it is really difficult. إِلَّا عَلَى الْخَاشِعِينَ. Except for those people who are humbly submissive to God, who fear Him, and who humble themselves before Him. That is, uh, they have this feeling that they are the servants of the Creator who is in complete control, and they all that they need to do is to realize that God is great, and whatever happens in this world happens through His will, His decision. His decisions can never go wrong. So when you're able to realize this, you become humble. And honestly, I mean, in many cases, it has been seen and experienced that you get the opportunity of becoming more humble when you go through difficulties. When you are flying high, you're succeeding, you're on top of the world. Oh my goodness, you're more likely to be arrogant. And that is why those people who really know the Almighty's message and are close to Him, they say that the test of being grateful is a more difficult test than the test of being patient. So, you know, it's a big difficult test of being patient and through prayers, except for those people who humbly submit. الَّذِينَ يَظُنُّونَ أَنَّهُمْ مُلَاقُو رَبِّهِمْ. They are the ones who yazunnuna, they have a strong feeling, a predominant feeling, annahum mulaqu rabbihim, that they will meet their Lord, wa annahum ilayhi raji'un, and that they are going to return to Him. Faith, I hear many people saying that we have absolute, complete, unmistakable yaqeen. I keep telling myself, you're brilliant, you're Arabic. Congratulations. But is it true? That's another subject. And this really needs to be discussed in some other class presentation. Faith is what you get gradually, and you get as a consequence of being an open-minded person, honest person, reading the text, thinking about the Almighty's creation, and going through the experiences of life, listening to the criticisms of others. And you gradually start feeling more and more comfortable with the claims that are the faith of our religion. So it's basically a predominant feeling. That is what the Almighty expects from us. This becomes stronger. Yeah, it does. Why does it become strong? Well, it becomes strong because And that's what really people who don't believe in religion and atheists, they need to be informed. You see, the trouble is that you have to have a correct attitude for you to deserve believing. But if you just are ridiculing, making fun of whatever is presented, then, well, it's tough luck to you. Uh, when you start taking seriously the scheme of the Almighty and you get in contact with Him, you pray to Him, you know what? Things start happening in your life, which I would not be able to see. In my life, which you will not be able to observe. But your reflection, your reading of the Quran, your honesty, you being upright, going through the test of life properly, seeking forgiveness from the Almighty when you go wrong, and looking at your experiences. Oh my God, it does exist. He's the one who's running this show. Honestly, it happens. And that is what enables you to grow in your faith. And okay, you have a right to, somebody has a right to question you. You're fooling yourself. You ask yourself, am I fooling myself? And you say to yourself, honestly, I know that this cannot happen, except for the fact that, you know, He's there. He's listening to my prayers. Otherwise, how could this ever have happened? So I'm saying, this belief is the belief in the life hereafter. It's mentioned that those who do khushu are khashin are the ones who have a predominant feeling that they will meet their Lord, وَأَنَّهُمْ إِلَيْهِ رَاجِعُونَ, and that they're going to return to Him. So they're going to meet their Lord is a constant feeling. And one of the things that happens as a consequence of this feeling is what has been mentioned in the Quran in verse 40 of Surah 79, Surah Naziat. It says, and really is a very important verse, Amma man khafa maqama rabbi, the one who fears the prospect of standing before his Lord all alone, khafa maqama rabbi, wa nahan nafsa anil hawa, and he prevents himself from going after evil desires. The Almighty says, promises, Fainal Jannata Hilmao. The paradise most certainly is going to be the abode of such a person. So that is what this verse is also saying. They have a predominant feeling that they are going to return to their Lord. So whenever we do something wrong, we say something, we see something, we hear something, we do something wrong, because of some pressure, some weakness, all of a sudden this thought should come to us that one day we'll have to be standing all alone before our Lord. That's the feeling that this verse is mentioning. So these are the people who can have khushu, وَأَنَّهُمْ إِلَيْهِ رَاجِعُونَ, and they are going to return to Him. That is, there is going to be an accountability, and the accountability is going to be a just accountability. After that, verse 47 addresses the children of Israel once again. Children of Israel were addressed in verse 40, and now they are again being addressed in verse 47. Ya Bani Israel, O children of Israel, Uzkuru ni'mati allati an'amtu alaykum. Recall my favor upon you that I bestowed upon you. Wanni faddaltukum alal alamin, and the fact that I gave you superiority over the entire mankind. Wow. So, the Almighty is saying that, look here, God has in the past, He has bestowed upon you His favors, great favors. It wasn't because you deserved it. It wasn't because, since you belong to a noble family, this was your right. It's simply the Almighty's favor, His blessing. So you recall it, uh, value it, be grateful to the Almighty. And goes on to say, وَأَنِّي فَضَّلْتُكُمْ عَلَى الْعَالَمِينَ, and recall the fact that I gave you superiority over the entire mankind. That is, the children of Israel were picked by God to be His representatives, uh, to the entire mankind. His message was to be delivered to the rest of the mankind. One of the Christian groups, called them sect, has named itself Jehovah's Witnesses. So, actually, Jehovah is God, witnesses. So, most certainly, it really is a fact that, you have been given the task to be his witnesses. So, the children of Israel were given superiority over everybody else because they were given the status which was given earlier on to only prophets. But after Ibrahim alayhi salam, it was the family, the progeny of Ibrahim alayhi salam, who were given this noble task. And therefore, for that purpose, they were chosen. And they therefore had to be superior to others. But it was a double-edged sword. The idea was that if they were to be up to the task, God will help them. They will see God helping them everywhere, and they would prevail. And it happened in their history. However, if they were to go wrong and ignore their responsibilities, then they would be punished in this life like no other nation is punished. And that is also what happened to them. The only one more thing that needs to be mentioned is that that status has now been transferred to the children of Ismail. And we are a part of them. We are the periphery, not the leadership, but we also belong to that nation. Muslims now, the bearers of the last message, they do well, and nobody can stop them from being the very best, morally, materially. But if we don't do well, then we are going to be the worst. So that's the Almighty's promise, and that's unfortunately it seems is what is happening. The last verse. This I have to say to buck you up, to encourage. This is the last verse. I don't promise how long it will take to explain. It has to be the last one. وَاتَّقُوا يَوْمًا لَا تَجْزِي نَفْسٌ عَنْ نَفْسٍ شَيْئًا وَلَا يُقْبَلُ مِنْهَا شَفَاعَةٌ وَلَا يُؤْخَذُ مِنْهَا عَدْلٌ وَلَا هُمْ يُنْصَرُونَ. Children of Israel are being addressed, and the Almighty is saying, and fear the day when no soul shall come to the rescue of another at all. No intercession, shafaat, sifarish, no intercession shall be accepted. None. No payment shall be taken to free anyone, free him, nor shall he be held by people otherwise. That's one verse negating any outside help coming to the rescue of any human being on the day of judgment at the time of accountability. Complete negation. Imagine, this verse has been mentioned in the Quran 3 times. No intercession, no shafaat, no sifarish. When I tell Muslims that, look here, you, it seems, are banking upon sifarish. We will get the shafaat of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I mentioned that these are the verses, and some people said that, you know what, it's actually for the Jews. There will be no shafaat for them. It's not meant for us. And I say to them that, the Almighty is very wise. It is because of the same reason that some Muslims are going to be quite as fools as to make such a statement. He then decided that in his text in Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 254, the one immediately preceding Ayatul Kursi, verse 255, mentioned, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu anfiqu mimma razaqnakum min qabli an ya'tiya yawmun la bay'un fihi wala khullatun wala shafa. Believers, spend your wealth in the way of Allah before comes a day when no friendship, no other help, and no intercession is going to come to your aid. So this is what this verse is saying. And the Almighty is saying that, therefore, accept this message fearing that day. You are not accepting it because it is, in your opinion, going to kind of compromise your status that you're enjoying right now. Fear the Almighty. That is what happens. There is some greed, there is some temptation which is stopping you from accepting the truth. So the Almighty says, fear that day when nobody is going to come to your help. And it is completely negating all kinds of uh, external help, even though these people were the children of prophets, and they they believe, like the Muslims believe, that fire is not going to touch them. The Jews also said the same thing. The Muslims also say the same thing. And the Almighty's response is absolutely clear, unmistakable. Nothing of that sort. Sorry, I never promised that. There is one or two things I would say. In verse 24 of Surah Al-Imran, the Almighty says that these children of Israel, the Jews, they're not interested in the message that the Almighty sent to them through the last prophet, quite apart from other reasons, because of the fact, ذَلِكَ بِأَنَّهُمْ قَالُوا لَن تَمَسَّنَا النَّارُ إِلَّا أَيَّامًا مَعْدُودَاتٍ. This is because they say that the fire is not going to touch us except for a few days. وَغَرَّهُمْ فِي دِينِهِمْ مَا كَانُوا يَفْتَرُونَ. And they have been deluded in their religion by what they have been inventing. So this understanding has been invented by religious people, that they are going to be rescued by some foreign help. I just briefly mentioned these two titles, which again need to be explained in some other presentation, that Muslims are very often heard saying that because we have recited the kalama, therefore we are going to enter the paradise no matter what, and completely ignoring what the Quran says. And the other thing they say is that Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is going to do our Shafaat Sifarish, and he's going to come to us. When they pray for it, they pray for Shafaat. Uh, I'll explain both these points in some other presentation. But what I'm saying right now is that the Quran is absolutely clear that on the day of judgment, the accountability process is going to be completely, absolutely fair. And whatever is mentioned in Hadith is exactly in accordance with the Quran, but there are details of it. So the Quran is the ultimate authority. أقول قولي هذا أستغفر الله.